In this episode of the Transformation Project, the team learn all about energy healing. Helping us with that is Megan from Shanika Soul Sharings. Megan is a craniosacral therapist, shamanic and Reiki practitioner, psychic and life coach. Her passion is in energy and womb work. Megan gets great fulfillment encouraging people to live an empowered, authentic, joyous life with flow and ease. She regularly runs women's circles, holds workshops, as well as running retreats. So join us on today's episode to learn all about energy healing with us.
Hello and welcome to the Transformation Project, a podcast and community for women who are looking to transform into the best version of themselves no matter where they are at. A place where you can listen, learn, and laugh along with us as we dive deep into different topics to help you live a happier, healthier, and more fulfilled life. Remember, we are all learning here together, and therefore the content and opinions of the hosts and our guests should not be taken as medical advice. Please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions.
So welcome guys to our current episode of the Transformation Project. This is our beautiful team. We have Yvette and Jess, and today we have a special guest who is Megan Louise. Now, I asked Megan to come along and speak with us today. She and I connected quite a few years ago through a friend of a friend, and I think, you know, those people that you instantly meet and you have this beautiful kind of connection and experience, and it's almost like you feel like you've known them forever, but you just met them. So Megan and I kind of had that experience. I'm just speaking from my perspective. But the beautiful thing about Megan and what I wanted to introduce in our conversation today is around energy and healing. So when I come back to how we met and how I felt so connected to her, I am definitely a very spiritual person. I don't follow any particular religion, but I do have a deep belief in spirituality. So for me, energy is really important. And I definitely feel like there are some people that come into your life and energetically you're like, doesn't feel good, doesn't feel right. And so whether you believe in energy or not, sometimes when we tap back into that part of ourselves, we can acknowledge it's there anyway. So Megan has come on today to have a bit of a chat with us and share some of the things that she does. So welcome, Megan.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Share with some of our listeners around the kind of things that you do. So you're an energy healer, and I've come and done a couple of sessions with you myself and had some family come and visit you. What kind of thing, for those people who've never even thought about energy healing or what it does, can you maybe just give a bit of a share around that?
So a quick and logical share is when we were first born and first conception, we are soul, okay? And when we're not quite human in human form yet until we came out of that womb. So we call that in energy healing the blueprint, okay? And along our journey, we pick up imprints. And this can be from trauma or things that people have said that have hurt us or events that have happened. We pick up then behavioral patterns that we learn to cope, and they're like coping mechanisms. We move along our life and these become patterns. So energy healing takes it back, tries to strip away all of our patterns, all of our behavioral and our coping mechanisms to bring us back to soul, ultimately, to blueprint. This helps in so many ways. And as you can kind of imagine, if you're heading along and you see that you're in different relationships, so it's a different man or a different woman, but it's the same sort of theme that keeps coming up, right? And see, these are our patterns. So we're attracting similar people to bring us a lesson in life, but we're also recognizing that maybe we play a part in that, and we have our own coping mechanisms where we seem to react in certain ways that may be similar in each relationship, and then we keep going along until we've cleared those, and then we can pick up something new. So ultimately, healing session can basically clear a whole lot of your path to just help you live a more fulfilled, a more balanced, and a holistic, happier life.
Megan and I yesterday, we were talking about some repetitive things that are happening in my current relationship. I think every woman goes through this in their life. We, as mums and wives, we either take on the role of running around the house and following our kids and cleaning up after them and doing all those sorts of behaviors. And one of the biggest kind of blocks that I've had over time and space is the fact that I feel like I'm the only person that does it. And it comes back from a childhood experience as a child. And this is my experience, right? So obviously we all have different perceptions of the experience when we go through something. But my experience as a child was when my mum would ask for things to be done, my sister would be like, nah, and wouldn't do it. My brother would be like, well, if she's not, I'm not. And so I would be like, okay, mum, I'll help you because it's the right thing to do, right? So I would help my mum. But then over time and space, in a couple of years, I developed, I guess, a level of resentment towards my siblings and to my mum that it was happening and that no one was making a change to that. And yet somehow as an adult, I've evolved in this space where it's a bit like the Chicken Little book where, you know, she's like, will somebody help me plant the seed? Will somebody help me sow the seed? Will somebody help me reap the seed? Will somebody help me grind the bread? Will somebody help me cook the dinner? Will somebody help me eat? And the only one they're like, yes, is when it's time to eat, right? So that pattern has been repetitive for me over time. And when Megan and I were talking about it yesterday, I'm like, oh, it just drives me nuts, this behavior. And she's like, oh, is there something from your past that you feel like this has been happening? And I'm like, actually, yes. So just an awareness around what's going on in your life now and how you feel based on what you experienced as a young person and how that felt. And potentially those are things that we're attracting into our own life so we can learn a lesson, so we can evolve and grow. Make sense?
I think so. So this is from someone like me who has never seen an energy healer or knows anything about it. Is it similar to psychology in a way?
So I actually have a diploma of counselling as well. So yes, it can be, but the difference is, so with the talk therapy and stuff, it's you're getting it out and you're speaking it, right? But it's still in your body and it's still in that auric field and it's still in the energy. And so we can learn to do dance and practices and move it through our body if we know what we're doing and how to do this. But ultimately, if you're speaking on something and it's traumatic, that trauma is actually then held really tightly. And that's where you sometimes hear people and scientists talk about cellular memory. So the benefits of energy healing is you're actually going in and you're bringing it up, but then you're removing it.
Right. Okay. Yep. That makes sense. And so in an energy healing session, obviously then there's some element of talking, but then do you have like certain instruments you use or practices that you do that help to clear that energy?
Yeah.
If I had to come for an energy healing, like what could I expect going into one?
Great question. So every energy healer is different. I myself actually used a medicine drum. So it just kind of sounds like this. This is like a shamanic tool. I also have singing bowls, and then I have a rattle, and I use feathers. But they're kind of some of the shamanic and then some of the sound healing tools that I use. But other than that, I actually use my breath and I just use my hands and play with the energy.
And how did you get into that? Like, is that, the people don't come out of school and go, I'm really keen to be an energy healer.
Right. Yeah, I actually, I was struggling to fall pregnant and it had been 4 years of doing fertility treatment. And one of my friends actually said to me, you should go see an energy healer. And I was like, what is an energy healer and how is that going to help me fall pregnant? Because I was doing fertility treatment and it felt like, you know, how some people say, oh, just forget about it and it'll happen. It felt like that moment where you go, okay, thanks very much for that tip. I'm going to take that one on board. But I thought, you know what? I've been doing this for so long. What can I lose, right? So I went to this guy and I saw him for one session and I felt pregnant naturally.
Wow.
And I was actually told by the medical professions that was actually medically impossible. So I then went, oh my goodness, what do you do and how do I get into it? And he became my teacher. So I trained with him for a couple of years, and I actually now have the same story. I had a lady come to me just recently, and she's been doing fertility treatment for 8 years. And she saw me once, and now she's pregnant. So she's 8 weeks, so she's not telling anyone yet. But yeah, we get those beautiful stories out of it that sometimes the medical and the science professionals just can't do anything, whereas it's actually a blockage. So a lot of women that have infertility issues actually are more so in their masculine energy, and that's the doing, having to problem solve, the logical. It's not in the body, it's not flow, it's very like action, doing, right? Whereas to actually be fertile, you need to be female, you need to be in your feminine energy. So you need to have that receptive, that flow, that being, that softness, that nurturing, and you need to have that real balance of those energies. Otherwise, if we're too masculine, our reproductive systems just aren't going to flow, right? We're going to have problems with our periods and stuff. We're going to then have problems with menopause, and that's also what energy healing can do. And for me, that's what it was. So I had one session and we balanced out my masculine and feminine energies, and we moved this block of this belief system that I had that I actually couldn't physically fall pregnant, because that's what I was told.
What a story. It's so awesome. Can I ask? So I come from a very science background. So I hear energy and I'm like, matter, like nothing can be created or destroyed. So like when you release that person's energy, or, you know, when yours was released, where does it go? Does it stay negative out in the world?
Yeah. So what we do is we actually transmute it. So it might be like a negative and we change it to a positive in ions. Say in someone's body, they've got a bit of stored trauma, like in their heart, right? Sometimes it's difficult to actually get that trauma out of the body. So what we'll do is we'll transmute it and turn it more into love, and it kind of dissolves. Does that make sense? So instead of being like this hard, tough, it softens, and then over time, it will just then dissolve.
So how does this relate to chakras? Like I know there are chakras.
Yes, yeah.
And that's about all that I know.
Okay. So we've got 7 major energy centers, and they're called chakras. Okay. And so we've got one right down in the base, and that's like right at the base of our human being. Then we've got one kind of in our womb space around our belly button. And then we've got one just underneath the ribs, one like in the heart, just in the middle of the chest. And then we've got one in the throat. And then we've got one just here, which we call like the third eye. It's like just around here. And then we've got one at the crown of our head. So if they're out of balance, they won't be spinning as well as they should be, and you'll see physical differences. So, okay, so if someone's base chakra is out, they might be having problems with money, finances, their home, like the foundations of what we go through life with, right? If someone's sacral chakra is out, that's around the womb, they might be having troubles with relationships, connecting and relating to people. If they're a female, they might have problems with their reproductive organs and their cycles. The heart, they might have problems with love. They might not be receiving love or giving love. They might have these boundaries and these blocks. Energetically, how they look, they'll kind of look like they're outside of the body instead of inside the body. So what we do is we balance them.
And how do you know if someone's chakra is like way out of their body?
So energetically, I kind of see it as it's outside of their body. But also when I'm feeling into the energy going up the midline, so we've got the spinal fluid, and the spinal fluid like flows, and where you can feel it kind of pooling, it's like the dam has hit a wall. So I kind of feel it as, we're not going any further and we're pooling. The energy is kind of pooling. So therefore I know that that's blocked. if I unblock it, then the energy can flow like a river again. So that's how I see and feel it in the body, and everyone will say something different.
I've heard a lot of people recently going to sound baths. So is energy healing, is that like a one-on-one, or is it like a group thing? And is the sound bath an energy healing, or is it a different kettle of fish?
Yeah, so energy healing can be one-on-one, but it can also be in a group setting as well. It can be distant as well. I do a lot of distance healing as well. So where people actually don't have the time to come see me, or they might be in lockdown in Sydney or Melbourne or somewhere like that and can't physically come and see me. So I can actually do distance healing on them as well. And so a sound bath is like kind of with the crystal bowls or the drum. So you've got the sound and you've got the energy coming from that. And it's kind of like, you know how you've seen on YouTube videos where they've got this pool of water and they have music or something and the water ripples? It's kind of what energy healing does to the body. So it's like the energy and the ripples, and it creates a vibration, and certain hertz can heal and resonate with different parts of the body. And so some people are really receptive to sound healing and others aren't. So therefore I kind of use a bit of both in my healing.
I mean, I can definitely understand like the impact of how sounds would affect your energy. I mean, I'm originally from South Africa, and so I've seen like that, you know, the tribal sort of, I guess, sounds as far as celebratory sounds go. On the flip side of that, you know, I've also been in situations where we've had like huge crowds of people and the people are aggressive, and there's a different sort of low resonating sound that's coming from them, and you can like feel it on your skin, like everything kind of you can feel that it's like static in the air. And so I guess from that perspective, I can understand. That makes sense to me because I've felt that myself.
That's a good explanation of it, actually. And, you know, it is that connecting with that palpable feeling depending on settings. And in a group setting, it can definitely affect it as well. I know, Megan, one of the things that you do is women's circles. Can you share a little bit about what happens in the women's circles and how they can benefit people?
Yeah. So women's circles, I get people to just kind of tap into their feminine energies a bit more. And so just being instead of doing, so it gets them to take time out of their busy lives and to kind of sit and be nourished. So every women's circle kind of looks a bit different because we go through different stages or whatever. But most of the time, it's all womb work. I really enjoy womb work. I love working with the womb. It's how to get more into our feminine essence, how to get into that sensuality and that parts of ourselves that we may have forgotten. It's how to get you into your body a bit more and connecting in with their intuition and their higher self so that they don't need to go see a card reader or a psychic or an energy healer. Like I try to teach people that they can do their own healing on themselves and to not look outside of themselves for anything. It's all within. We have all of the answers within, and the less we look outside of ourselves, the happier we're going to be ultimately. Yeah, so I teach a bit of meditation. I teach a bit of body work. That's like dance or movement and how to be inside your body, how to feel different sensations, how to move energy through your body. And I teach how to connect with that intuition, that higher self, that higher knowing, and ultimately just try and feel the passion and the gratitude and that joy, not just when we're in circles or tribes with women, but throughout our daily life.
That's cool. And can I ask you as well, how can we use this to benefit our kids and our relationships with our kids and their experience of the world as well?
Ultimately, this work has taught me that we get so much pain and trauma and hurt from our childhood. In the first 7 years, that's where we pick up a lot of these massive imprints in our blueprint. So what energy healing and this work has actually taught me is to just be really quite soft and gentle with my children, to try and watch the words in which I communicate with them as well. So I have boys, and I'm really, really cautious not to say, okay, come on, tough it up, or oh, no need to cry about that. I'm trying to teach them that all of their emotions are welcome, and that all of them is welcome. I'm trying to teach them and instill in them that whoever you are and whoever you be is absolutely perfect, and you don't need to change a single thing or change anything for anyone.
I needed you sitting with me the other day. My daughter had a temper tantrum, and it was one of many. And I was like, okay, it's okay. These are okay emotions. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here being like,
yes. And look, also that in my women's circle, I teach women that it's okay to like totally lose your schnizzle, right? So I do actually say to my kids when I get to a certain point, I'm right here, guys, and I'm about to lose my schnizzle, so that they know that beforehand, that I'm expressing like, okay, I'm at my point. I've just gotten to a point today where everything's kind of got to me, and I'm just letting you know that this is actually contributing, and I may react, right? So it gives them an opportunity to kind of sit back and go, okay, mum's at her point. Because I teach my kids to let me know, like, I'm angry. And sometimes we don't even know what's made us angry or why we're at this point. So I say that it's okay, but let's express it. Let's get it out. So me and my boys, we kind of do like from the movie Bad Boys 2, we do a what's and they kind of express it a lot deeper, and they do that because I've got boys that are heading into teenagers, so that they're not harming anyone else, and they're getting that out. And I sometimes say to them, hey, let's go show some love to the punching bag outside. I try to teach them that crying is perfectly okay, and anger is perfectly okay, and overwhelm and everything is perfectly okay. We're human. So every emotion is able to be expressed. We shouldn't suppress any emotions, because that's where it gets stored in the body.
I think losing my schnizzle is the phrase of the day. That's staying in the vocab. I'm keeping that one. I'm going to use that one.
That is a me thing. Yes. Apparently, I am the only mum that says schnizzle. So apparently it is my word. I
not from today onwards. You're causing a schnizzle revolution, because I'm going to take that one on.
So you, as a healer, do you take people's negative energy? Like, and especially, I guess, being an introvert, do you have to then, like, after maybe going and you've had a busy day and you've had maybe some very traumatic people you've helped with, do you have to kind of be like, okay, I need to get this off of me?
Oh, absolutely. And yes, you're completely right. Yes. So that's most healers are empaths, and empaths actually pick up on people's energies, emotions, and they'll be able to read people a bit better than others that aren't an empath. So yes, absolutely. So what I do is I just like kind of go, okay, I say to myself, and that's not mine, so I can let that go now. And it kind of disappears.
There's one more question. I wonder, Yvette or Jess, if there's any kind of thing that you feel like, you know, as a kid that you experienced that you then had to suppress yourself. Because when we're talking about energetic blueprints and imprints over time, I feel like we all have them, but just an awareness around them as an adult, just be like, oh, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense. And if I unpack that now as an adult, what then happens to change the quality of your life?
Maybe. I mean, I think for me, definitely, I had a period where, and I've actually spoken about this on another podcast, but I had a period where not crying was my only form of rebellion. And so as a child, I refused to cry. So no matter what happened to me, I would not cry. That was my only form of rebellion. And so I probably would have gone through 5-6 more years where I did not cry at all as a child. So this is a small child, right, from like 5 onwards. And so as an adult, I found that I had to really consciously become softer. And I think it's now the flip side of it. So the ladies, you won't know this, Megan, but the ladies laugh often because my children say my heart is too close to my tear ducts now. And so from being shut off for so long, if I see other people in pain or I'm speaking about people who are struggling, I'll cry. Like, it hits me really hard now because I don't have that, I guess, control that people have learned how to handle that over time. So I don't have that, especially since I've met these ladies. I'm in the beautiful community that we belong to. I've had to step into, because part of what we do every day is reach out to people who are struggling with their health or with their finances or with their own community or loneliness. And so we're reaching out to those people all the time. And yeah, so I've had to learn, consciously focus on what I'm doing there and then overcome that. So yeah, I think that would definitely be something that I've noticed over the years. Is that what you're implying, Kaz? Yeah, that's crying.
I think it's beautiful that you've reconnected with that side of yourself, or that part of yourself that was closed off for so long. And it's like almost by being surrounded by the community, it's helped to release that imprint on your blueprint so that you can then connect back with the true Yvette that was kind of hidden from as a little girl. So that's amazing. What a gift. And a gift to us. I'm not laughing at you at all. I think it's beautiful.
Love you, Kaz. Thank you. Yeah, no, definitely, because I've never been surrounded by a group of women like I am now either. That hasn't been a life experience of mine.
How about you, Jess? Anything that comes to mind?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I guess the main one for me is my parents are divorced and I'm the oldest. And I guess just thinking back about how it hit all of us, I really took on that maternal role. That I'll help with everything, house lunches, like getting everyone ready. I felt it was not my responsibility, but I guess kind of what you said before, Kaz, like you just felt like it was the right thing to do. And I struggled at the beginning of my relationship with Ben. Ben and I have been together forever, since we were 14. We've been together for 16 years. But I mothered him because that's what I knew. And then it became a double standard, because then I would mother him without him asking, but then be very like, how come you're not doing anything? So it became this constant fight. And but I had to really let go of that with Ben. I wasn't his mom. But yeah, I don't know. There's lots, I'm sure, that I don't even consciously am aware of that is a block for me now, kind of thing. So yeah, I definitely have some healing work to do. You'll hear from me, Megan, for sure, because it's something I've always wanted to like dive into, but I've always kind of just been like, I don't really understand it. I got lots of other things going on, so I'll just push it away and carry on with what I'm doing.
That's pretty normal. I think lots of us do. We push it away to cope. It's like, I'll deal with that later, pack it down. And then eventually we get to the stage where we break and then we're like, help. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Megan. It has been so beautiful. I always love connecting with you, and thank you for your beautiful grace and spirit.
Thank you for listening in to this episode of the Transformation Project. The Transformation Project is not just a podcast. We're also a community. We're a collective of like-minded people all around the world seeking to live their best life and raise each other up. We're looking to support you, set goals, get healthier, connect with yourself and others at a deeper level, and better understand yourself and the world around you. We're always looking to link arms with like-minded people wanting to create more out of life. You can connect with us via our website, which is www.thetransformationproject.net.au. Email us at support@thetransformationproject.net.au, or simply listen in to one of our podcast episodes, which can be found on all podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can even watch some of our episodes on our YouTube channel, simply called The Transformation Project. Please like and subscribe to make sure you hear all the incredible shows and guests we have lined up. If you have any feedback or any comment, we would love to hear those, as well as any ideas or guests that you think we should be interviewing in future. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Transformation Project.